Hello, everybody. Neck of the woods. So, this is my thoughts on feminism. The truth of the matter is, I never really thought about feminism from the first time I heard it as a little boy, young teenager. But I heard it talked about by women, and women was talking about women's rights and women need to have more rights. And keep in mind, I was being raised by a psychotic single black mother, and I'm not saying my mom was a feminist, but she definitely was influenced to a certain degree. She definitely came about in the era of feminism. My mom's a black woman, so she had some other concerns at the time. But me being raised by a single black female, I think I came under the idea, and I was influenced that, oh yeah, women should have rights, and I was on my way to becoming the simp and mangina that I once was. I've now since reversed those aspects of myself. I no longer am that. But at the time, I was like, oh yeah, women should have rights, and I really didn't think too much about it. I was a teenager, and I was starting to, like females at the time. There's a certain age that every man starts liking women and starts being interested in women. And on into my adulthood, again, I still never really thought too much about feminism. I still thought, oh yeah, women should have rights and all that fucking shit. I didn't start thinking about feminism until about 6 years ago. That's when I started taking a look at myself and my life, and I looked at how I was with women in general. I wasn't that successful. I wasn't a virgin, but I felt like a virgin. I didn't have sex with that many women, and I call myself being in a few relationships. The longest one lasted about 6 months. So I'm like, you guys are probably like, well, what does this have to do with feminism? Well, I started looking at MGTOW videos. Like I said, in my second video I started making, basically how I got started in the YouTube manosphere. I started watching MGTOW videos. Even though I'm a black man, I wasn't aware of any black men, aside from my uncles, spitting real game. I'm talking about my uncles in my real personal life. Aside from them, I didn't know any other black man who's talking about issues that, real game that black men need to know. So, but I first started listening to Tom Likas. I've said this many times. Tom Likas was the first YouTuber I listened to. And then I started listening to many other MGTOW videos, and they all basically they mention feminism as part of the problem of how feminism has adversely affected men, especially heterosexual men. So yeah, feminism affects us adversely. And I just was listening closely to what MGTOW videos and YouTubers who subscribe to themselves as being MGTOW, what they were saying, and I start to think about what they were saying, because I never thought about it like that. And of course, at the same time, I am unlearning the simpish nature that I used to have. Well, it wasn't a nature. I was taught and raised and trained to be a simp. It's not in my nature to be a simp. And even when I was simping, something deep down inside me felt it was wrong, but I had all these outer forces and propaganda surrounding me, and social constructs through friends and family basically saying, oh yeah, women should be put on a pedestal. And I bought into that at the time. So my thoughts on feminism is, yeah, feminism is a problem. And I started, studying feminism, and to my knowledge, there's been at least 3 waves of feminism. Some say 4 waves. So here goes. The first wave of feminism in United States. I'm not talking about other countries in the world. I'm talking about United States. The first wave of feminism started actually in the 1840s. Many women were clamoring, raising hell, talking about they wanted rights and they wanted to be able to do more stuff. Of course, during that time, feminism fell on deaf ears. Men were still running shit, and it just fell flat. That's the first wave. Some say there was a wave of feminism in the late 1800s, like 1890s. Some people consider that the second wave. Me personally, I consider that still the extension of the first wave that started in the 1840s. It's just that I think those bitches back then were raising hell for the next 60 years. And it fell on deaf ears the whole time. Now, the second real wave of feminism, to me, I think really started in the 1920s. The 1920s up to, well, let's just start with the 20s. That was the flapper era. That was the era in which women wore short hair. They cut their hair short so they can seem powerful like a man. It wasn't really like a masculine haircut. It was still considered feminine, but it was a short haircut, like the bob haircut. Me personally, I can't stand women with short hair. A woman has to have long hair for me. She has to have long hair. If a woman cuts her hair, I am not attracted to her anymore. But that's me. So in the 20s, women start doing that. They also start smoking cigarettes. Again, that's another thing I'm not attracted to. Women who smoke cigarettes. I immediately don't see them. I don't see a woman who smokes cigarettes. She goes blind right before my eyes. That's how I look at them. I don't look at them no more. But again, during that time, that's, back then, a lot of men smoke cigarettes, and that's supposed to be the masculine thing to do. So you have 2 things that women do that's very unattractive. I mean, and I don't smoke, and I don't think any woman should smoke. Women start doing 2 things that's automatically unattractive to me. And and it's not because of feminism. Because like I told you, I was unaware of really what feminism really was doing. But I've never liked women who smoke, and I've never liked women who have short hair. So, and then when I start looking at this feminism and the history of it, I'm like, oh man, feminism is fucking women up. At least they are for me. And they're fucking women up for other men out there, not necessarily because of the smoking or the short hair. Every man has his thing of what he is into with women, but I don't like smokers and I don't like women who cut their hair. But that was the two big things that happened in this second real wave of feminism. I think that lasted up until like, well, that was what it was. Women start getting rights, some more rights. They actually started being listened to for the first time. They were able to vote, I think. That there was laws being changed. There was legislation being passed for certain things for women that would benefit them. They're getting more rights in life. And then the third wave of feminism is occurred in the 60s. Women's lib. I think the mid 60s on to the 70s. That's when it really got strong. Women burning their bras, marching, women's rights, women's lib, and all that fucking shit. And I think we all know what happened from that point on. Women, starting. The next thing you know, you see women going to college and all that, becoming activists for feminism and all that bullshit. And then all the laws are slowly changing. I think they already started changing by then in favor of women. Just a lot of things that men used to could do, we can't do no more. And people consider that a good thing. But it's really affecting men, the good men, the so-called gentlemen that you guys say that we should be. The so-called gentlemen are the ones who's getting affected the most in the worst way. Because they're nice. And those are the ones we now call simps and manginas, because now, like, basically you could have been a gentleman back then in an era when women had no rights. You wasn't simping then. You was just being a gentleman back then. And there was nothing wrong with that at that time. But now, there's no fucking reason for you to be a gentleman to these bitches. Because they're going to take advantage of you, chew you up, and spit you out. And then you'll be a simp. And then you deserve to get fucked up like that for just doing that when you have no reason to do that. And now I think we're living in a fourth wave of feminism. I said earlier there was 3 waves. I'm sorry, I was wrong. No, there's actually four different waves of feminism, I believe. And some say 5. No, I say the real answer is actually 4. So I stand corrected. I apologize. I said the 3 waves. But I'm going to briefly mention the 4th wave. The 4th wave is basically, now you hear these bitches going around saying, oh, women make 77 cents to $1 that a man makes. Well, that's because basically nowadays women have taken all the jobs out there, the non-manual labor jobs, and now the only jobs that's left over are the real masculine, manly jobs like the construction work and plumber and that sort of thing. And those jobs pay very well. And, when you average it out, yes, a man does make $1. Like, the woman makes 77 cents to $1 that a man makes. But the reason why that is because men still work regular jobs that women cannot get. That's all I want to say on that. Good night, folks.